One of the things that's kind of interesting, and in general, it's a really good idea for all of you just to, in many different contexts, try to start becoming more aware of how you're breathing when and what it's affected by, right? So, like, it's really interesting the difference in in breathing in really dry air and humid air. Obviously, it's pretty humid now, but also a lot of yoga was developed in much more humid climates, right? And so
Mhm.
um, the the water part of your inhalation and exhalation is something that's actually pretty cool to pay attention to, and the difference of your breathing when it's more humid out and when it's not, and when it's going through your nose and when it's going through your mouth, and all these things are just one of the things I love about yoga is that it goes with you everywhere, and so do bring it everywhere, right? Pay attention. I mean, in a way, as yoga students, you're part of a great ongoing never ending experiment of what it's like to inhabit a body and a mind and all these things, right? So it's definitely worth just little, and when you'll find around certain people you don't breathe as well. You'll find all sorts of stuff, certain context where you're continually clenching your jaw and holding your breath, ones where your breathing is more shallow, and even when you're you know sometimes don't interrupt the next great movie you watch, but like watch when you're really involved in, or a book. Have you ever noticed, I've always make this joke, when you're reading, or it's not like, have you ever noticed how many people are always yawning in libraries, right? Because it's so quiet, because the process of reading is such an inward experience that it's hard for us to stay animated. In general, I would argue that there's a lot more shallow breathing in libraries than at a baseball game, for example. I mean, right? I mean, these just seem like obvious points, but they're all information, right? So when you're doing hard work or thinking really hard about, and you will find that you don't breathe as well when you're thinking a lot about the future, right? Like that's one where it tends to change your breathing pattern, all these things. And it's all part of the ongoing. So one of the things that your breath is, just like a yoga practice, is that it's a touchstone from which you can take kind of a snapshot of what's going on, how much your mind is too active or too concerned, or the other thing for a lot of students, and for a lot of people, the other problem, especially when we bodies get tougher, is that there's lethargy that sits in. Lethargy also affects your breathing. It tends to make it more shallow. So all these things um, are just part of it. So start to pay, before we start to just pay more attention to the exhalation, I want to go through first and just try to soften the the organs of perception. So relax the skin on your face. And these are like things you hear the lines over and over. Have you noticed if you've made any progress learning how to relax the skin on your face? Right? Like these are things that, like how do you do that? So when you think about the skin on your face, or think about someone, I heard someone say the face, I can't remember the line. It was just recently. The face are your personality muscles. I think that was it. Right? Think about how much you're engaging and smiling and showing your state on your face. So the idea of learning to relax the skin on your face, right, and start the process of going inward, right? So there are certain hints that you hear over and over. I usually say the skin on the forehead moves towards the eyebrows. So like as you soften, and they notice right away, I'm also often talking about the around the temples, because that's another place. But when you try to relax the skin on the forehead and soften the temples, which is kind of a weird instruction, but I hope you found an analogy in your experience. When you soften your temples, I hope you feel other changes, right? Because it's like you kind of let go there. And so it kind of makes you sleepy at first, because what we're trying to do is get the awareness around your eyes to be felt, so your eyes don't have to strain, right? So when you soften the skin on your forehead, let it drop a little bit. And that dropping is kind of the same as softening your temples. And then you let your eyes sink a little bit. So the problem here is that, especially on a Monday morning, it starts to show you that you still might be fatigued a little bit, right? So then you soften your jaw and the inside of your mouth. Now we're getting dangerously close to Shavasana instructions right now. But remember, we're starting class. So it's different. So when your lips together and your teeth slightly apart, connect that sensation to the feeling of softening your temples and the skin on your face. Because you're going to find that these are all particular instructions in a general happening already. So now start to become more aware of your exhalation. And as soon as you start to become more aware of the exhalation, the inhalation becomes more, the beginning of the inhalation becomes more important. The release and then the spark back. Now, what I want you to do is keep the organs of perception soft, even relax the base of the tongue. But especially when you become more aware of the exhalation, try to feel the back body, the back side of your shoulder blades. So you're connecting the drop and the release on the face and the softness on the inside of the mouth with a drop down the back body. This is actually the start of asana now. With an action on the back body and the corresponding, once you start to become aware, especially on the exhalation of the dropping down the back body, and the inhalation starts to lift the chest. So there's this ebb and flow between this longer release and the inhalation that starts an expansion. So there's a constant interplay between an emptying and release and a beginning of activation. Now just notice how the inhalation, now you're letting go, and then the inhalation, it's not just your chest that lifts, it's your rib cage that expands. And then the release happens again. So now, in this pattern, become more aware of your feet on the floor, your sitting bones. So now you're trying to figure out how your body can be consistent with this pattern of release and excitation. So now feel your sitting bones and lift your chest a little bit more. Hit your sitting bones down, lower abdomen slightly up, and your inhalation becomes fuller because it's now including more of your body. And the exhalation becomes more of an overt release on the back body. So now if you can, bring your hands into prayer, because now you're going to try to bring pressure and symmetrical pressure into the service of what's happening. So let the feeling, if your hands can be together, in the center of your palms be a reflection of the expansion on inhalation. As you exhale, maybe notice that the pressure between your hands slightly increases because the shoulder blades are doing something else. Re-soften the inside of your mouth, because this has been a lot of awareness. Your hands don't have to be in prayer either. You can put them on your lap. Let go of your day. Prepare your mind to do yoga. Repose, refind your body. Start again. Good. And then release. Bring your hands down to your thighs, palms up. Take your sternum up towards your chin down over your sternum. Remember, this is slightly more active in a certain way because the rib cage and the spine get more active. More active, so the inner corridor, the core channel, becomes better located because you're surrounding it with more awareness. And then keep breathing. Raise your head up with closed eyes. Open your eyes. All right, so I remember one time I was with a really good, very experienced, kind of famous Vinyasa teacher. So Vinyasa yoga, as opposed to Iyengar yoga, which is what I study, and Iyengar yoga and what you learn from me is like individual poses more and less about the flowing of poses. And the idea of flow yoga or Vinyasa yoga is that you coordinate your breathing, inhalation and exhalation, with movement. So they end up becoming more and more coordinated, which, because you and I, or most of you and I, can't do as many poses and can't do the sequences of poses that Vinyasa is predicated on, then the integration of breathing and movement doesn't work as well, because you and I are not able to do what's typically some of the sequences. But I want you to notice something about when you're aware of part of your body. Like if I just ask you right now to find where your pinky toe is, whether you can feel it. Remember, I can't feel my pinky toe right now like this. But notice when you go and look for where your sitting bones are, or where your inner edge of your heels is. Notice when you first go there, you tend to hold your breath, right? Because the way that your brain knows to find something is to kind of clamp down, find it, right? And then start moving. And that's just a natural way the mind tends to work. And so Vinyasa yoga is trying to go, no, make that connected, right? From the very beginning. And that's not the way I practice usually, but I get the wisdom of it, and because I can't do all the movements. So they're doing bigger and bigger movements. and you're layering the breath. And so the breath is getting, and your awareness of the breath is getting circulated through the whole body through, blood flow and a whole bunch of things. But I watched this guy, this really big teacher, and I watched him try to show me. His hand was on the table, and he was doing this with his finger. And I watched him over the period of a couple minutes completely calibrate his breath to the tapping of his finger. So and it wasn't just as obvious as he lifted it up, he inhaled it, as he exhaled, it wasn't that simple. But what I started to see is that his breathing being and getting unified with a simple movement. And it was kind of, I'll never forget this, like watching him, because it was he was trying to say, no, breath can go with anything, with any movement. And he was trying to say to me, even though you can't do as big a movements, you can coordinate your breath with any movement, right? And so he was trying to say, he and I were kind of arguing, not arguing in a good way, that vinyasa yoga is not as good for people living with disability because they can't move as much, right? And he was trying to counter that with this example, right? So put your hands on your, so now we're going to practice some stuff, like some little movements. So put your hands on your legs, because we're going to try to, this is David Swenson, by the way, is the teacher that I had this conversation with. And so put your hands on your knees. I'm just put my hands here on my knees. And every time, just because I'm going to just because I want to coordinate something, I'm going to, every time I can, have my hands on my knees. I can't tell if you can see down here. Every time I inhale, I'm going to open my palms. And every time I exhale, I'm going to drop my palms. Okay? So you do the same. And notice your chest starts to follow right along, right? So inhale, extend your fingers. Exhale, drop your fingers. It doesn't even matter if your fingers are moving. If you're just opening your palms, if you can't open your fingers, that's okay. But so we're just trying to get everything involved and following a simple movement. Now, on one level, lifting my fingers has nothing to do with the inhalation of my breath into my lungs, except what if I connect the two? And I hope when you're dropping your fingers, you're dropping more than just your fingers. So you're going back and forth. And what David Swenson was trying to get to me was that in principle, vinyasa yoga is no different than this. It doesn't depend so much on what movement you're doing. Good, and then release. So often how we start, so you lean forward. We're just going to do that kind of, we're not going to think about the breath as much. Because when you're first stretching or loosening up, right, you're just moving. And not everything has to be so gosh dang aware, right? And then over to, sort of moving. And right now we're just moving on our sitting bones. Right? We're watching the distribution, the changing gravity, right? Because as I hope you figured out in this class, forward and back, when gravity shifts, so does your awareness, right? The input to your brain changes. And so there's literally different information coming into your brain, right? And so gravity is shifting your awareness without your control. Right? Now, this is one of those things I'm just kind of kidding. And so, of course, you can so let's just, turn the head. Now we're going to try to ground it in the chest. Feel more connected here. Turn. So it's not just my head that turns. I feel the energy of each shoulder blade. And I turn. Right? And then I go back. And then I'm going to go the other way. I'm just going to, there's me just turning like I would during my day. Here's me being slightly more yogic and trying to feel it from the center of my chest to turn my head. When you anchor down, you tend to be less violent in your movement, right? So I'm going to turn a couple more times. So now I just know, because I'm a yogi, I'm going to keep layering in more. Now I want to feel my sitting bones and my chest and turn my head. And then come back and I'll go the other way. Sitting bones, chest, and turn my head. As soon as I start doing that, I don't know about you, but I start feeling my legs differently. And then come back together. Remember, movement's going to change your brain's awareness. So I'm going to do it again. Sitting bones. Now I'm going to go inner heel, sitting bones, center my chest, turn my head. And then come back to center. Good, and then release it. Now gently, I want you to play. We're going to layer in breath now. In this first time, I want you to do the turning on an inhalation. And then after that, we're going to do it on an exhalation. So again, I'm going to ground my feet, my sitting bones, center of my chest. I'm going to inhale and turn. And then exhale. And then I'm going to come back to center. Don't do this very strenuously because one of them is not quite as right as the other. And then I'm going to ground again, feet, sitting bones, chest, shoulder blades. Inhale, turn my head. Good, exhale at the end and then come back to center. Now I want you to just sit back with your hands on your like take a couple centering breaths. So now I want you to do it with your inhalation in a different place. Right? So now I want you to be ready to turn, feel your feet. Remember, when you start to feel your inner heels, your sitting bones, already you go inward in a way that there's a tendency to hold your breath. Nothing wrong with that, right? So now I want you to inhale. And on an exhalation, I want you to turn from your feet, your sitting bones, the center of your chest. And then come on back to center. Take a recovery breath. And then inhale and exhale and turn your head. And then come on back to center. Now ask yourself which one feels a little bit better and maybe practice both. But you know, we were just turning the head, right? But when we started to ground the shoulder blades, the sitting bones, and the feet, it started to turn into a twist. And you know from instructions you've heard before, you inhale, expand, and you exhale and revolve. Okay, so now, without moving your hands, we're going to do it more overtly as a twist instead of just a turning of your shoulders, right? So a turning of your head. So feel your feet, your sitting bones, between your shoulder blades. Inhale, exhale, and turn. And don't just turn your head, turn more of your spine on the exhalation. And then come on back to center. And do the same. Inhale. Make it more of a twist without moving your arms too much. So your spine starts to turn here and down between the heels. And then come on back to center. So now you can see that when we usually teach a twist, take your left hand outside your right leg, we're just adding more drama in. You just did the twist on a subtler level. Now we're including more of the body, right? And then take your arm behind you, right? So now you've got a more overt twisting sensation in your spine. But I want you to notice the inhalation. And then from a deeper place, turn, exhale, and revolve. And again. Good, and then come on back to center. So we're just layering now. And then we're going to be exploring how to then integrate more and more of the breath with the movement. So now I'm sitting from center again. I'm inhaling. I'm exhaling with that. Oh, and I take my arm outside again. And the arm behind. Right, so now I've got more of a twist. Now I'm going to feel the expansion of the inhalation, the potential for action from the expansion. And then exhale and revolve a little bit. But again, I'm not just turning my head. I'm not just cranking my spine. I'm trying to keep my whole body. So inhale again. Let the inhalation touch the whole body. And then exhale and revolve. And then come on back to center. So now I'm just going through things I've taught a lot of times, right? Right. So now you just again throw even more drama into with your body. Inhale, take your left arm up. Exhale, come down. Inhale, take your arm behind you. So all these things, now we're just trying to layer, then inhale, lift up, exhale, up. We're trying to layer more movement into the breath. Then inhale and take your arm up. Exhale and go down. Inhale, take your right arm up. Exhale, bring it across. Inhale, find the place where you're going to put your arm behind you. Exhale, lift your chest. Now feel your sitting bones, feel your heels. Inhale, feel the expansion. And then exhale and revolve a little bit more. Good. And then on an inhalation, take your arm up. On an exhalation, bring your hands down to the midline. So I'm on my knees. So now I'm just taking a breath. Feeling my breath, trying to center it again. Now what's interesting, so typically one of the consequences of one of the ways that Vinyasa Yoga is often taught is that there isn't much awareness at first of all the little muscle movements and happening. The instruction is more about the big movements, right? As opposed to the little movements that are more available to you when you're slowing down poses and breaking them down like Iyengar yoga, right? And so often in Vinyasa classes, there tends to be, it's a generalization, but more injuries and stuff because people are just moving without learning how to move safely. But the rhythm and the breath coming together allow them to do things they normally couldn't do, right? And so, and there's a reason why when you're in the middle of Vinyasa class, there typically aren't a whole bunch of very particular instructions because there is a time for it for one, but the way the awareness is moving doesn't allow for it as much. But we're trying to find some middle ground so we can bring some of the insight of Vinyasa in here. So when I have you inhale and take your, fix my screen again. So when I ask you to inhale and take your left arm up, feel your right sitting bone in your right heel, and then back down. I'm asking your brain to do something simultaneous. In order to feel those places in my body, you have to go inward in a place that doesn't want breath or doesn't require breath as much, but you're also trying to coordinate it with something that is taking breath, the movement up over your head. So inhale, feel the left sitting bone on the left foot, and then back down. And then inhale again. Feel the opposite side a little bit more. So you're both in exhale. So we're trying to, now, the great thing about feeling because you've done it a couple times, you don't have to pay quite as direct of attention to your sitting bones and in your foot because you're starting to do it in repetition. Inhale up, exhale down, right? Inhale up, feel the whole body, exhale down. Have the feeling of the whole body, not stop your breath, right? So I'm just going back and forth, and this looks simple, right? It's not simple when you're trying to integrate everything, right? You know, the poses just get more complex, but the breath and movement is solved at the level and then back down of, and I can still see David's hand moving on the table on my breakfast bar, right? Like his finger was moving, like, and all that's going on. Okay, now inhale, tip back over your chair a little bit, then exhale and come forward. So again, we're not changing gravity. And then come on back, and then inhale, exhale forward. So now, right? I talk a lot about sometimes then come back to center about trying to come into a slight back bend and come out of a slight back bend, one vertebrae at a time, right? Which is kind of hyperbole, but it's not. It's trying to make you pause on this certain level of your brain function, right? And help you look inward in a way that typically you're not going to breathe with, but you're going to be breathing at the same time anyway. So inhale, start taking your head back. You can let yourself have an exhale. Then inhale again. Now as you come forward, start with your chin. Start to slowly uncoil, right? Back to a neutral position. And then inhale, and starting from your sitting bones and connected to your feet, right? Start to arc the spine back more slowly up the vertebrae, right? As you come up and over the chair. And then uncoil slowly back to neutral. So now notice, now I don't want you to actually do this. I just tried to do it because I was going to think about having you do this. But you got to be careful when you're integrating breath not to do something really wrong. But here's what would be wrong, and you can give yourself a hint of this. Try, don't do it too hard, but try inhaling, exhaling, holding your breath. And then while holding your breath, start the back bend. And then don't go very far, and then come out of it. Can anyone tell how awful that just feels wrong? Can you feel that when, try it again, right? So do it wrong again. Remember, the brain, the mind's going to learn, right? So if you do this movement while holding your breath, which is how beginners do it a lot, they tense their mouth, they tense their face because they're trying to follow along, right? So I can't talk when I'm doing that because that would make me breathe, right? So I had to get quiet, right? And can you feel that doesn't feel nearly as alive, right? So now, thank goodness you get to breathe and move. So take a couple, so now after doing it wrong, you pretty much need a couple of recovery breaths if you're being honest about what's happened to your breath. Just take a couple of breaths, inhale and exhale. And then inhale and come on back up over your chair. One vertebrae at a time, opening your chin last. Notice how the exhalation and what happens with the shoulder blades and sitting bones helps you go farther into the back bend. You're just taking a couple breaths here. And then inhale. And on exhalation, start to uncoil, kind of go slower, back to neutral. So one of the more famous vinyasa sequences is like sun salutation, which has everything to do with different positions on your spine as you're breathing, whether it's flexed or neutral or forward. So we're going to be in neutral, right? Then we're going to inhale, ground the feet, sitting bones. Remember, that's what the different, that's like look like more the back of your eyes, right? And then inhale, up and over. Taking an extra breath. And then exhaling forward, but now come forward and shift on your sitting bones and come forward. And then back up on inhalation, up and over the chair. So now we're adding here, and then exhale and initiate. I have to have a hitch. I initiate a shift across my sitting bones and come forward, right? And then inhale and start to come back. Hit the back of the chair. Open. Exhale, start coming forward. There's that, my hitch is right there. I gotta come through the balance point and then through. And then start lifting up on inhalation as I'm forward, hitting the back of the chair, going up and over. You might have to take a couple of breaths through this thing and then forward again. So there's this place, and then be in the center. There's this place where, because I'm paralyzed from the chest down, and you may or may not have the same hitch, right? But there's this place when I'm back like this, and I start to come forward on exhalation, right here, I have to hitch. I have to grab and pull myself through because I can't activate my lower abdomen to pull me through, right? So you're up and over like this, and then you're coming forward. And everyone's got that place where you're shifting the weight on your sitting bones. And there's that place where the transition is more obvious as you come forward. I want you to look for that position, that place where the gravity is shifting from being behind the balance point, and what you have to do right at that point to keep it going forward. You're gonna find most of you are grounding your legs more at that shifting point, right? But like me and some of you, you can't do it that way, right? So there's a hitch in there. And guess what? That hitch is gonna affect your breath, okay? So again, you're starting from neutral. Inhale, come on up and over. Feel your feet and sitting bones. Tipping the chin back. And then exhale, start coming forward, coming across your sitting bones. Find that place where it hitches, and then inhale, back up. I exhale right here because my breath doesn't go that long well. Then I'm inhaling again. And back forward. And then inhale, back up. Up and over the chair. Exhale in the central, into neutral. So it turns out, have you ever noticed, like, one of the other reasons why vinyasa yoga is so popular, like 80% probably of all yoga students are vinyasa practitioner, is because rhythm is fun. Okay, and all this extra awareness, what I'm saying, being aware of your feet, your sitting bones, your inhalation, your exhalation, all that awareness is more mental, right? And mental awareness tends to like interfere with your breath. So like, if you ever been like, if you're like beating your on your hands on a table to a song on the radio or a song, right? Once you start becoming, even though you can feel the rhythm of it, but once you start becoming super aware of the fact that you're beating your hand on the table to the sound of the music, notice that you often lose your rhythm some. That in fact that rhythm is better when your brain doesn't judge it too much. Same thing's going to be true in a yoga pose, right? Is that the awareness that I tend to, when the style of the yoga that I teach tends to affect rhythm, right? And we want to now do these movements from a more rhythmic point of view. Now that we've like pointed out all the happening, don't think about each component separately. Just start to do it in the flow of the whole movement. All right. So I'm not going to instruct as much. I'm doing, typically when you're in a vinyasa class, is if you hear much less particular instruction and more just about the movements. So inhale, start in the center, symmetrical, back and forth. And then inhale, go back up and over your chair. Exhale forward, come through the balance point, lean forward, go more inward. Inhale up. Exhale, inhale back over the chair. Exhale, come forward, all the way through. And now even make it more rhythmic. Here comes the lift up. There's the place, up and over. Exhale forward, come through. Find whatever the beat rhythm is for you. Do it a few more times, right? Up and over, through. Exhalation to inhalation. Up and over. And then when you're ready, sit in the center. Hopefully, notice some extra hum on the inside. Now we can introduce arm movements, leg movements, all those things on top and through this core channel. So let's just inhale and take your left arm one. Let's say to lean over there, right? And then back to the opposite leg. On exhalation, right? And then inhale it back to center. Take an exhale. Inhale, take the right arm up, go back. Exhale, come forward, put it down. Take a recovery breath. Not because it's recovery from strain, but recovery from the quality of your breathing, right? Inhale, take the arm back. Exhale, back down this way. Inhale, take your arm back. Exhale, back down this way. Inhale, take your arm up. Know where your feet are. Exhale, bring it back down. Inhale, take your arm up. Exhale it back down. Now, one of the reasons why I don't like doing both arms at once is because I have to grip my diaphragm and follow the rhythm, but we can do it. You know, you guys can, some of you can do it better. So I can't take my arms straight up like this because I'll fall forward, right? So that's a strain. But I do it on inhale. Like for me to do that with both arms at once, it's going to be easier for me to do one arm and then the other, right? And depending on which arm it is, right? I'll try this one and then this one. So now I want you to play. If you have trouble staying on balance doing that, go one arm up and then the other, and then switch it and find which one's better for you, for your flow of your breath, right? Right? So usually when I go my arms over my head, I go up like this. So I don't throw myself off balance. Take your arms up over your head. I don't know about you, but my breathing is not nearly as rhythmic when I strain to have both my arms over my head. But you don't have the same level of paralysis I do. All right. So now, as you lean this way, lean over to your right, open up to your left. Now, I hope you figured out when you opened up, you did it on inhalation, right? Right. And then exhale it back down. And then inhale and exhale over to the side. Inhale, open it up. Exhale it back down. Inhale back to the center. Exhale. Inhale, exhale, move half gravity. Inhale it back up. Exhale it back down all the way to your right leg. And then back up. Inhale, back down to the right leg. So now this time when you inhale it up, I want you to hit your sitting bones down and extend out to the top of your head. While inhaling, taking your arm up. Inhale, up. Exhale, down. Inhale up. Feel your whole spine. Exhale, down. Now this time, don't just feel your whole spine, but feel your feet on the floor. Inhale up, whole spine, including the feet. Exhale, back down. Inhale, come on up to center. Exhale into the center. Now we're going to go the other way. Inhale on an exhalation, lean over. All we're doing is shifting gravity on the sitting bones. Inhale, take the arm up. Exhale, just bring it down. At first, you can just do this action with your shoulder and not so much spinal awareness, right? That's how a beginner would do it. Inhale, take the arm up. Exhale, bring it down. Now this time, be more aware of your spine, your sitting bones, and stretching out to the top of your head as you inhale and take the arm up. And then exhale it back down. Again, inhale, lengthen the spine, take the arm up. Exhale, take it down. Now on this one, you're going to include your feet, your sitting bones, lengthening your spine. Right? Inhale, take it up. Exhale, take it down. Inhale, take it up. Exhale, take it down. Inhale yourself back to center. Be in the center. Take a couple of breaths here. Like I'm saying a couple of breaths because I can tell I just disrupted my breathing. So I'm going to inhale and come forward on exhale. Inhale, lift with my chest, push out with my hands. Inhale up. Exhale in neutral. Inhale up and over the back of the chair. I'm lengthening taking my chin back last, if you take it back at all. And then exhale forward. Now this time I want you to be in neutral. Inhale, exhale forward. Now I want you to keep your inhalation slower so you don't have a breath in the middle. Inhale, start to come up. Back of your chair, up and over on the same inhalation. Exhale, back down to center. Breath in neutral. Exhale forward. Inhale up. Exhale down. Be in the middle. So now I gotta bring a chair over here. I got stuff on my chair. But I'm gonna take my right foot off the pedal. So it's gonna be more floating in air. Right, I'm gonna lean over this way in a second. But I want, right, to have my base changed. Even though I'm sacrificing on this back leg, it's not touching the ground as well. So if this isn't safe for you, don't do it, right? But I'm gonna I want the base to be different as I come over. So I'm gonna inhale, come over a little farther than I would. So now I've got more of me happening this way as I'm going this way. So I just want to register that with a few breaths and then come on up. Same thing again, because I'm coming from a different base now. Remember, a lot of the poses, all they're doing is changing your base. Inhale, exhale, come over again. Feel the change, expand outward because your base is different through the back leg. And then inhale back up. Come on back up. So now I'm going to switch. So I'm going to do it this side without leaning over on a chair, right? But again, I'm making time to change my base, right? And actually, this is a compromise to my base, right? But you learn from that, right? So I'm going to inhale and exhalation and come over. Now this way, I can already tell I'm not able to push and allow more through this leg. I'm not sure why. Doesn't feel as good. And then come on back to center. Right. And then inhale and exhale, opening more of me this way. So some of you want to move your arm, right? I'm just trying to have it do it with your spine. Yet I pointed that way. Not for you to do it. And then come on up. Bring your leg back on the foot pedal or straight underneath your knees. Take the other leg out again. Bring it off center. So I'm going to now, there's going to be an arm movement too. I'm going to inhale, exhale down. Inhale, open. But as I move my arm, I move through my back leg too. So that's the expansion because the inhalation goes in every direction. And then on exhalation, I'm going to lengthen my spine this way. Activate my shoulder blades. And again, I inhale to the expansion, out through the back arm, through the back leg. I exhale into an extension of my spine. And I'm going to find my breath here. Good, and then come on back up. Put your foot back on the pedal. Again, because my abdomen is still a little bit sensitive, I'm making you do a little recovery breath because that's what I'm doing. Then I'm going to take the leg off to the side again. Again, just trying to change my base. So I'm going to inhale and exhale and come off to the side. And then I'm going to inhale and not just open my arm, but open through my leg on the inhalation. Then I'm going to exhale, lengthen my spine, length out through my arm and leg. So go back and forth between the expansion of your rib cage, the expansion on inhalation, and the length on exhalation. And then come on back in the center. So now I want us to do that, not quite as slow, not quite with so much instruction, but more with the sense of rhythm. So to get that back into us, because we just did a whole bunch of like focus stuff. Inhale, exhale forward. Inhale, lift your chest, come on back. Inhale, come over here, back of your chair, tip your neck if you want to. Come forward. So we're just trying to get like, and then make it even more. I'm just going to come forward through and back, do it at your own pace. Trying to find the rhythmic part of the movement, right? Because when we do the same thing we just did side to side, I want there to be more rhythm to it, right? Okay, find neutral. Inhale, up as you come over. Exhale down, come back to center. This time we're just gonna inhale and exhale and go off to the side. Come on back up. Again, inhale, exhale. Open. Down again. Gonna go the other direction. Inhale, come over on exhalation. And then back. Inhale, exhale, come over. Inhale, open up. Through the back leg and the back arm. Exhale down. Inhale the other way. Exhale down. Value the exhalation, right? Inhale back up. Exhale back down. Inhale back up. Exhale back down. Inhale back up. Exhale back down. Go at your own pace. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Leg and arm. Exhale down. Be in the center. Take your left leg off the pedal or off to the side. Inhale down. Exhale down. Inhale up. Pardon me. Exhale down. Bring your leg back to underneath you. Switch legs. Inhale. Expand as you go out to the side. Exhale. Bring your arm and your leg back into center. Inhale, take the other leg off. Exhale. Inhale. Open. Leg and arm. Exhale down. I'm going to seamlessly bring my leg back on. Exhale. Inhale, take the other leg off. Exhale. Lean over to the side. Inhale. Exhale down. Bring my leg back onto the pedal. Inhale, take the other leg off. Exhale, inhale into expansion. Exhale down, bringing my leg to the midline. I'm doing it with my arm. Having an exhale. Inhale, exhale, take that lean over, bring the leg off. Inhale, back up. Exhale, bring the leg back to center. Stay in the center. Take a couple of breaths. Practice symmetry. Inhale, take your left arm outside your right leg. Take the other hand behind you. Exhale into a gentle twist. Bring the upper thoracic forward into your body. And then exhale back. Inhale, and on exhale, take your arm on the outside, other arm. Take the arm behind you. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, revolve. Gentle twist. Come on back to center. Be in the center. Practice quick symmetry before Shavasana. Find your grounding. Pay more attention to your exhale. Okay, prepare for Shavasana. You want your Shavasana to be as symmetrical as possible. So that means leaning on your chair, leaning forward on a table, putting your arms on your forearms on your thighs. Symmetrical. Now the same thing we started class with, like soften the organs of perception. But this time, not to prepare to activate, but to relax. Around the temples, the forehead, soften the jaw, the inside of the mouth. Relax the tongue. When all this happens at once, there's almost a sense of the face deflating, the cheeks deflating. And then let your mouth be more like a cave. Even let go of your teeth and gums. Start to allow the hum. Feel your breath. Don't change it. Thank your body. Thank it again. Start to bring yourself back, slightly deeper inhalation, slightly longer exhalation. When you're ready, open your eyes. If it's too much, close them again. And then choose to open. So I know for some of you, the layering in so much breath is difficult, right? And here's the rule of thumb. If layering in breath that consciously into movement makes you feel unsteady or not as safe, don't worry about it so much, because one of the beautiful truths of vinyasa and yoga is the repetition shows you how to do it without having to be mentally judgmental, right? Or be more aware of it. So again, if you're someone that kind of struggles to consciously layer in breath, just let the repetition show you how it goes. Don't try to make it so mentally chosen. All right, everybody. I'll stay on to if you have any comments or reactions. Otherwise, hands together or not. Namaste. Spirit in me bows to the spirit in you. All right, everybody. Have a great week.